The postgraduate theory examination is not a test of how much information you can memorize. It is a test of understanding, application, and presentation of your knowledge effectively. Yes, the syllabus is enormous. Almost every resident reaches a stage where it feels impossible to complete everything, and that feeling often leads to panic. But before you panic, remember something important. You are not starting from zero. You have already studied normal physiology and pathophysiology. During your residency, you have taught undergraduate students, presented seminar, participated in journal clubs and quizzes, discussed clinical cases, and completed your thesis. So the foundation is already there, and now your task is not to learn physiology again. Your task is to organize, revise, integrate, and present that knowledge effectively in examination. Theory marks are earned only through what you write on paper. That means you must shift from passive reading to a structured, target-driven approach focused on high-yield topics, revisions, and answer writing practice. You should know what to write, how much to write, how to organize the answer, and how to integrate different concepts logically. And these skills come only with practice. Most of you have around 2 to 3 months for your theory examination. And the goal during this period is not merely to finish the syllabus, but to perform active revisions multiple times. And before I discuss how to plan your available time, this is Pratima and welcome to Planet Physiology. If you are new to my channel, this is right time to subscribe it. Okay, let's start with your study plan. If you have 3 months in hand, dedicate 2 months for completion of syllabus. But if you have less time, say around 2 months, that is 60 days, then invest 40 days to cover the syllabus once. Reserve last 20 to 30 days exclusively for revisions. Based on your level of preparation, you may focus only on high-yield topics, all the major topics, or the entire syllabus. So it's up to you. So let's assume you have 60 days in hand and follow the 40-20 rule. If you are a full-time resident without major family responsibilities, you may study for about 12 to 15 hours a day. However, if you have family commitments, don't compare yourself with others. Aim for at least 8 to 10 hours of focused study daily. Additionally, learn to steal small pockets of time. For example, listen to authentic educational videos while traveling or doing routine work. And before sleeping, note down the important points. These small efforts accumulate significantly over 2 months. Then break your syllabus into 4 university theory papers. This immediately converts one huge mountain into 4 manageable sections. Collect last 5 to 10 years of university question papers. In many universities, nearly 60% of the questions are repeated directly or indirectly. You can use AI to analyze your papers. Within half an hour, you can prepare a star-rated list of repeatedly asked questions. Then create a sheet containing high-yield questions, book name to prepare the topic, and exact page numbers to refer. During final revision, you won't waste your time searching through books. Remember, don't study only the questions. Study the entire topic from which the question originated. Because questions change, but topic rarely do. Then practice answer outlines. You don't have to write complete answers every day, but you should definitely practice writing answer outlines. Prepare your own headings, flowcharts, and diagrams. This solves the biggest problem the most students face during examination. I know the topic, but I don't know how to start, or what should I include in this answer. When your outline is already prepared, your brain immediately knows the sequence of headings. This saves valuable exam time and produces well-structured answers. Use only one primary source. Avoid reading the same topic from 5 different books at this time. Choose one primary textbook such as Guyton or Ganong, or whichever book you are using till now, and add to it any extra information or important points from other sources using sticky notes or handwritten additions. Everything should finally come back to only one consolidated source. Next important thing is prepare recent advances. In most universities, paper 4 is for recent advances. They do not always mean futuristic discoveries. They often include updated diagnostic criteria, revised clinical guidelines, or the landmark trials. Being physiology students, pay extra attention to Nobel Prize winning discoveries from last 2 to 3 years. For questions on recent advances, don't panic if you can't answer every question perfectly. Even if you know part of the answer, use your fundamental physiology knowledge to build the remaining answer logically. One area that many postgraduate students either neglect completely or prepare at the very end is history of physiology and comparative physiology. Don't make that mistake. These topics may appear as long answer questions and can become excellent scoring opportunities. While studying every major topic, spend few minutes identifying the scientists behind the landmark discoveries. Know who made the discovery, what they discovered, how they discovered, and why it changed the understanding of physiology. Take some active efforts especially to identify contribution of Indian scientists like B. Kyanan or A. Pentel. Rather than memorizing isolated names and years, try to arrange them as timelines. This makes revision much easier and helps you to reproduce the information logically during examination. Also make sticky notes and add them in the relevant places in the book. This helps you to quickly revise the history part also along with the particular topic. For comparative physiology, don't study each animal separately. Instead, study systemic physiological adaptations. Understand the purpose behind the adaptation and it becomes very easy to remember. Take one system, for example, respiration, circulation, GIT, osmoregulation, thermoregulation, and compare how different animals have evolved that system to solve the physiological challenge. This approach not only improves conceptual understanding but also prepares you for analytical and integrative questions. Here is another useful trick to remember stages in evolution. Try to connect them with embryological development of the same organ system. Take the heart for example. During embryonic development of human, the heart begins as simple tube and gradually develops into four-chambered organ. This sequence closely reflects the evolutionary changes seen across the evolutionary process. So whenever possible, study comparative physiology alongside embryology. It helps you to understand the concepts better and remember them for much longer. Never skip your mock exams. Departmental model examinations are extremely valuable. They help you identify your strengths, your weak areas, your writing speed, and your time management. Modify your study schedule based on these results. Now let's move on to planning your daily schedule. Prepare a realistic timetable. Your schedule should allow one complete revision of entire syllabus and at least 2 revisions of high-yield topics. Remember, your schedule should be customized according to your strength, weaknesses, and available study time. One effective strategy is 3-day revision cycle or 3-day block system. Let's see how. Spend day 1 and day 2 reading, understanding, and preparing notes for one system. On day 3, revise the same system using only your notes, flowcharts, or outlines. Follow the same method for the next system. After block 2, perform one rapid revision of block 1 and block 2 systems. This becomes your second revision and significantly strengthens your memory. During weekly revisions, focus especially on volatile informations like molecular mechanisms, classification, normal values, or important names and the numbers. Follow the same model for other systems. Spend 2 to 3 hours daily practicing answer writing. Don't consider this as wastage of time. It trains your hand muscles to write continuously for 3 hours during exam. More importantly, it gives you ready-made answer outlines for final revisions. For difficult topics, use 10-point rule. Summarize every complex topic into 10 or 15 essential points that can recreate the complete answer during examination. You must set some daily targets. Don't think about the entire syllabus every morning. Think only about today's target. Set tomorrow's goal every night before sleeping. That way, you wake up knowing exactly where to begin. Keep your targets realistic but slightly challenging. And if you could achieve your target, it will boost your confidence and permit some extra time for additional preparation. Missing a topic occasionally is perfectly normal. Cover it during your revision day or weekend. Just don't allow unfinished topics to accumulate. Now coming to final 10 to 15 days of exam. During the last 2 weeks, avoid learning anything completely new. This is the biggest mistake many students make. New material often consumes time and increases anxiety. Instead, revise only your notes or your primary textbook. Focus on headings, concepts, diagrams, and flowcharts. Use reverse revision strategy. Revise syllabus of paper 4 first, then the paper 3, next paper 2, and reserve last 3 days exclusively for paper 1. This ensures that the most of paper 1 content remains fresh on the examination day. Before moving to the last section, let me know whether you would like to follow this schedule. Just write yes in the comments. Okay, coming to the exam hall strategy. The examination begins before you start writing. Spend initial 30 to 60 seconds reading paper carefully. Identify familiar questions first. If you encounter any unfamiliar question, don't panic, stay calm. You may remember some relevant points later. Then start to write in systematic way. We'll see later how. Never leave a question blank or unattended. Write something relevant. Use your basic physiology knowledge. Partial marks often decide whether you pass or fail. And if you are running out of time, don't write long paragraphs. Instead, use tables, flowchart, or just your 10-point summary that you prepare during revisions. This will communicate the core concept very quickly. Now let's see how to write the answer. Use the structure framework. Examiners first notice presentation even before reading the details. So organize your answers in logical manner, and for this remember the word structure. So as for setting the tone, begin with crisp definition or introduction in just 3-4 lines. T for topic organization. Use clear headings, subheadings instead of lengthy paragraphs. R for reasoning through flowcharts. Replace the long paragraphs with flowcharts, especially for mechanisms, pathways, or pathophysiology. They demonstrate your logical thinking and also improve presentation. Next is U. Underline headings, keywords, and important terms. Follow your university guidelines for formatting option, especially for use of different ink colors for this purpose. Other simple option is just write them in capital letters. The ultimate purpose is to make them stand out to the examiner. Use tables, flowcharts, neat diagrams as required. Never leave blank space planning to draw diagram later. Draw simple line diagram immediately before moving on to the next question. This maintains the flow of thinking and saves time. C is for clinical correlation. Write clinical application in all the questions. Mention clinical features as bullet points, and wherever applicable, mention physiological basis behind them, and flowcharts work beautifully here as well. T for time management. Allocate approximately 1.7 minutes per mark. For example, 30 to 34 minutes for 20 marks question. And reserve final 10 minutes for reviewing your answer sheets. U for update. So wherever relevant, mention recent advances or updated guidelines. It demonstrates that your knowledge is current. And the last R is for write volume. A rough guideline is for 20 marks, write about 10 to 15 pages, and 10 marks about 4 to 6 pages. This is very rough guideline because it will vary depending upon your handwriting and the spacing style. Never confuse quality with quantity. A precise, well written, well structured answer always score better than unnecessary pages. So be precise and be to the point. If you are still watching, here are some general habits for success as a bonus. Focus only on daily target, today's target, and not the entire syllabus. Train your brain exactly as it will perform in examination. So study in uninterrupted 3 hours block during the same time as that of your university exam, say between 10 to 1 pm. This is mandatory as it builds concentration and reduces mental fatigue. Reserve early morning sessions for concept-heavy topics or tough topics. Fresh, well-rested brain is more receptive. Of course, again, this is just a guideline and you can plan your day as per your most receptive time. Use the afternoon sessions for short break or power nap, or you can use it for writing practice. Evenings can be for lighter topics or revisions with the help of your notes, or even you can watch the educational videos. Plan next day's schedule before going to bed. And the most important, take care of your health. Avoid smoking, avoid excessive caffeine intake and energy drinks. Maintain proper amount of sleep, hydration and gut health to handle high stress period. And above all, stay positive. Almost every PG student feels overwhelmed before examination. That feeling is absolutely normal. Trust your preparation, trust your revisions, and trust yourself. Success is rarely about knowing everything. It is about presenting what you know in the most effective way. I wish every one of you all the very best for your examinations. Stay focused, stay confident, and I'll see you in the next video. If you found this video helpful, do like, share, and subscribe to Planet Physiology. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.